G'day guys, Goeiedag, my name is Wildkard. Yes, Argentina versus South Africa, the first and only game of the year between the two sides because of the greatest rivalry tour. And, I do think that this was probably one of the weirdest and maybe worst kicking game I've ever seen. It's just like there were so many of these kicks that just went nowhere, punting down the middle of the field, low pressure, and only for the opposition to drop the ball. Like, what is happening? Surely, if you were just, a lot of these kicks, you're looking at it, I'm almost like sweating that there will be a counter attack from one of the Springboks wingers, or maybe, from one of Lost Puma, centers or something, and, maybe Carreras or something will just run through you from the counter attack. But no, both teams were just doing this incredibly, like, loose style of kicking, and neither team was seemingly able to catch the ball half the times, and just leading to these weird bounces of the ball all over the place, and it was just an absolute mess to watch. Ironically, probably the best kick from Argentina was from Pablo Matera, who kicked the 50-22 and almost like leveled the game with subsequent, phases of play for the Argentinians, and for the Springboks as well. Like, there were kicks that were just going backwards from who was his name, Vandenberg. I mean, I can't remember the last time a box kick from the Springboks was that bad. Honestly, like it was it was mind-boggling what was happening, and there were times when both teams looked just like lost and not really sure what was going on. At one point, Sacha was just like taking up a drop goal, and like the Argentinians had this strategy where they were trying to do the crossfields instead of just going the balls through their hands because of the rush defense. Instead of doing one of those, they tried to do over the top to get around the rush defense, and it just a lot of those didn't just like end up like going out of bounds or not going to hand. So instead of going passing the ball over the top, Argentinians started to do these crossfield kicks, which actually worked out better for them. The winger actually caught the ball at a more consistent rate, and then only for the team to not have anything to follow that up with. Either the guy just tried to throw the ball back in field, and they're all getting pushed out of bounds. And like again, it's like one of the things where, when the teams are so liberal at kicking the ball away, you get the ball to the winger, and if he's covered, just kick the ball down for a foot race. And like, no, a lot of times they just try to throw the ball back in the field, and not, reluctant to put the ball into space when there's actually an opportunity there. So it was really frustrating to watch in that regards as well. And the Springboks as well started off with Sacha at 10, and the kicking in was based something that we haven't seen that much from the Springboks. To be fair, is the up and unders from midfield. So there was a number of times where the ball goes to midfield, and Sacha just goes for one of those high ball, and a lot of them gets overcooked as well. Not the most, something that you would expect from the quality of Sacha. And then when they're not kicking the ball away, I thought the attacks was just a bit too flat from the Springboks. And, when they go to the depths as well, the accuracy, the sharpness of the passes just wasn't quick enough to even utilize the space that they had for themselves, ending up being caught by the rush defense. And yeah, it was just, we're going to have a look at the kick numbers and the kick meters. It was just all over the place. Absolutely all over the place. And can't tell you how many times the ball was left to bounce after a kick. Like, neither player from the team seems to be interested to catch the ball for some reason, and it just bounces, and it was just a mass scramble. There were so many knock-ons. I just kind of like, obviously, the referee just says like, play on. But if there had been like there were so many knock-ons for both teams as a result of this ball being bounced and not getting, to be let bounce and not actually catching clean. It was just, I don't know what's going on here. Honestly, I don't know what's happening. And obviously, there are some consistency issues with both teams. The Argentinians from July, they weren't able to get all the access to their best players. And Albornoz is banned coming to this game as well at 10. So the Argentinian side had a pretty light team out there, to be honest with you. Had a number of players that's missing for this side. So the consistency might be the issue there. Like, they just don't have players that have the confidence to do some of those things that would, maybe they just didn't have the confidence to execute some of the moves that they wanted to do, like those cross-field kicks, and following up with it. Maybe they just didn't have the confidence to follow that through. Same thing could be said for the Springboks as well. In July, they put on 3 different sides every single test, and albeit, and no disrespect actually to any of the team that played against the Springboks. I did not think that the Springboks was really pushed and challenged in any of those tests. And not only they have 3 different teams, but almost they just play 3 different style of rugby. And this is something that I'm worried a little bit about for the Springboks in the Rugby World Cup. Because if you have a bunch of games that doesn't really challenge your team, and your team is kind of just left out there doing whatever they want and still win with massive margins, you could head into the quarterfinal and then suddenly play against the real opposition, kind of like what you experienced today, and not able to execute the things that you really wanted to execute because you haven't done it for 3-4 weeks leading into this. And that's something that we've seen that in the past in the Rugby World Cups. Like the All Blacks has suffered the same issues, right? When they had an easy run in the pool and then only to hit a brick wall in quarterfinal because they just oh my god, we have to actually play some rugby that we haven't been playing for the last month. And I felt like that maybe was one of the big issues for the Springboks. Obviously, they do have some returning players not left at home. Some of the greatest Springbok in history of Springboks, players like Willemse, who's in my opinion crucial to the overall setup of the Springboks as well. A lot of these players have been left at home. We've got returning players like Sia Khaleesi and Eben Etzebeth, and then you've got Sacha Feinberg as well, coming back from an injury. And also you can see that the connection, the style of Sacha, the players around them are not used to him, right? If you watch the Stormers play, you would know Sacha likes to take the ball and kind of drift sideways a little bit and try to draw those defenders. And it's really up to his support players to straighten up and to get him to get those opportunities for him to get the offload. Like usually Willemse does that for him. Like Willemse will come in either out wide or someone will come in, on the inside or something. And it's up to his players around him to straighten up for him to create those opportunities because he likes to take the ball. And a lot of times he drifts and takes up all the space using that spin and agility that he's got. But it's the team has to play around that, and I don't see that the Springboks team around him play to play into that style that he was bringing. So a lot of times you kind of just see as well Sacha just drifting, looking almost aimlessly and getting caught. And I do think that that's again just a lack of game time for him with the rest of the team as well. So yeah, I thought the Springboks both teams were too conservative in the first half. Springboks came out definitely more aggressive in the second half, leading to the, I think, deservedly win, 17 points to 10 over the Argentinians. But it was in no way like an easy match or clean match in any shape or form. The scrummaging, I thought the Springboks had a bit of an advantage all around. Not too crazy. It was just enough for the referee to call it in those little areas, like just popping players up, making sure that they get out before you, and then just when the scrum goes down, making sure the opposition is in a giving the referee the right image that the opposition's going down first and not because of you. And then there was a couple of I think maybe at least one penalty against the Pumas for boring in as well from the tight head side. Just a little bit of that. A lot of these calls I felt like was probably 50-50, but the Springboks just done just a little bit enough in terms of getting that forward momentum to get the referee to make the calls on their side, and I thought that was really well done. So outside of that, outside of that, just a bit of a question. Is Andre Esterhuizen supposed to be a 12? I thought he lost his license to play as an inside centre for the Springboks after last year's performance against the Wallabies. So jokes aside, I do feel like his connection with Sacha was a little bit off there as well. I think just more game time needs for both players to be on the field at the same time for that to be a little bit more to get a bit more results out of that. That's pretty much what I want to talk about in terms of how the two teams has performed. There wasn't too much crazy stuff that happened when it comes to in terms of the referee calls. And both teams, Rasi had a bit of a mind game leading this game, saying that attacking rugby wasn't going to be enough to win the game, and then for both teams to start kicking penalties right away, and then only if the Springboks kind of realize that's not going to be enough in the second half to really pull themselves through. So bit of mind games from Rasi there, bit of mind games, putting the Argentinians in a bit of a defensive mentality, especially when they had that first opportunity to kick three for the Argentinians. They took it and didn't quite, it was a bit far for Carreras, but, again, that just shows the mentality the team. And here's the thing, right? You know, a lot of people might say, oh, you know, taking the three is really important. Argentina, and this is a point I really want to make. Argentina wasn't able to score at the end to level the game, probably because they didn't have enough time, didn't test the Springboks enough when they had the penalties early on. That is something that I think a lot of times overlooked, because a lot of times you go for these pressure plays, and even if you don't get the try, you'll work out why. You get a chance to work out what worked and what didn't work, and you can adjust next time when you go down, and actually increases your probability of scoring the next time you make the visit. If you never do it, like the Argentinians, like they did it in the first half, but in the second half, they never did it. They had they kicked the penalty instead, because they haven't actually got the opportunity to get into the Springboks 22 at all in the second half. When they needed to score the try to level the game, they were just going sideways and then end up watching the pass amongst themselves. But anyway, let's talk about the match stats of the game. 1 try to 289 run meters for Argentina to 534 for the Springboks. 16 turnovers against the Argentinians, 10 against the Springboks. I thought it would be more than that for the Springboks there as well. 30 defenders beaten for Argentina, 16 for the Springboks, despite like more than almost doubling the run meters. It's just crazy how much, you know, I don't know how loose this game was played. That's probably the best way to put it. 187 tackles made for Argentina, 160 for the Springboks, 30 missed tackles as well for the Springboks. That's pretty high up there. 16 for the Argentinians, much better there. 37 kicks in play for Argentina, 43 for the Springboks. I mean, that's probably the highest I've seen for the Springboks for probably, I can't remember last time. Like, the Springboks has been known to be very high in the kicking count, but in recent times, at least as far as I can remember, till maybe again last time they did this many kicks was probably against Argentina last year. Would have been the last time, perhaps. That's really a high amount. 1 penalty goal missed, 1 drop goal from Sacha out of nowhere. 1,121 kick meters for Springboks, 1,109 kick meters for Argentina. 13 lineouts for the Argentinians, 2 lost, 9 for the Springboks, 1 loss. No scrum losses, but Springboks definitely has a couple of those penalties for them. No, not too crazy. Like the discipline was actually really, really good for both teams. Like, especially considering how many of those penalties were given out as a result of Moors and Moors and scrum technical penalties. If you take those out, both teams would be like probably 5, maybe even less. In that sense as well. So really, really well done in terms of not giving away silly penalties like unforced penalties. Like being offside and all that sort of stuff. Just really glad to see both teams were good with those. So yeah, let's do a quick point summary of the game. Really not much happened. Like there was a just crazy amount of kicking around. So 2 minutes in the game, there was immediately a penalty for Argentina. There was I didn't think it was too high at all. It was a tackle, maybe a little bit high, seat belt. And then Argentina kicks the 3. They're taking the 3-point nil lead. 5 minutes into the game, Springboks gets a penalty from the breakdown. They kick it through as well, so 3 points apiece. 8 minutes into the game, Argentina, the first team. So the first 3 points from the Springboks, just want to touch upon it a little bit. I thought was a surprising decision, in my opinion, because at that point, the Springboks hasn't actually really tested Argentina. They had 1 line out with the Maul kind of it was a bit far. The Maul kind of didn't work, leading into this penalty, and they just said, okay, that's enough. Let's go for the 3. I thought this was right in front. Probably could have been a position for a scrum, because no scrum has occurred yet, and knowing that the Springboks generally has a scrum dominance, the decision here to not go for the scrum and go for the 3, I thought was very interesting. Because usually the Springboks like to test the opposition before taking the 3. But anyway, they're taking the 3 points leveled, and it was Argentina, the first team that ventured to not take the 3. 8 minutes in to go for the line out, and sure enough, they went for the fake Maul. Couple crash balls. The loose hair prop got caught up, freed the ball. Anyway, popped it off for Cardona, who ran in for the try, only try. 10 points to 3 under the post. Argentina holds the lead. And after this, both teams were just scrambling left and right, lots of kicking around. The Springboks was really flat. 20 minutes, they went for drop goal because they weren't going anywhere. 23 minutes, there was a what happened here? Springboks had a penalty. Finally, they backed themselves. and then they went for a 5-meter line out, and they lost the line out on their throw. So not tidy enough there. Just before halftime, those Springboks finally gets themselves in a good position. So I had it written down here that Esterhuizen was struggling to catch the ball a little bit for the first half. He finally catches the ball, albeit still a bit of juggling, and then he gets, two defenders was right up on him, and he gets the pass off. And then I wrote here, finally catches the ball, and the Springbok scores. So the ball gets freed, pass out wide to Van der Merwe. It was a overlap because 2 players were drawn onto Andre, ran in for the try. 10 points leveled going to half time. Second half, 4 minutes in, Argentina had a penalty. They're taking the 3, and I thought, that might be a turning point, especially mentally. And sure enough, the Springboks were just camped into the Argentinian side for the most part. There was a held up against Esterhuizen, 51 minutes. Sorry, not to meant to pick on Esterhuizen, but I just think it's really funny. Is he a forward? Is he a back? Anyway, because he was involved in lineouts as well sometimes. But anyway, the Argentinians was not able to exit out of their own half. A lot of the exit kicks, just punching down the middle of the field, only for the Springboks to run straight back into the 22 sort of thing. And then there was a Springbok try that was disallowed because the player had his Van Staden had his arm on the sideline. Many phases before that. They should have caught it way earlier. So the 62 minutes, what happened here? There was finally one of the little kicks through, paid out. The Argentinians, there was a little kick behind. The Argentinians got the ball up, and they couldn't quite get the kick off, and they got caught in front of the try line into a maul, and it was a turnover for the Springbok scrum. And then the Springbok dominance from the Springboks finally kicked in. They just pushed it over. There was penalty advantage. The ball scooped up at the number 8. Scrum wheeled as well, scooped up at number 8. Hanekom, who just all he had to do is basically dart the ball down in front of him for the try. 10 points to 17, and that's how the game held. Just before the end of the full time, Materas kicked the 50-22. Pablo Materas. not what was the other guy's name? But anyway, not Carreras, Pablo Matera. He kicked this one. Probably the best kick from Argentina for the entire game, to be honest. And then they build. Argentinians couldn't quite get the try. Ultimately, Maroni unfortunately had an overlap, dropping the ball in front of him. Yeah, that's painful, but it is what it is. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for it's actually Tuesday, so Tuesday, but it'll be my time Wednesday. Tuesday for the Sharks game where Ma'a, not new, apparently, I heard it somewhere, he's apparently playing for the Sharks. Not for the All Blacks, for the Sharks. Really looking forward to that. Thank you for watching, guys. Cheers.